What's up, guys? It's Sean here with another 8-rack video for the first time in a long time. Um, I picked this up after Gabriel came out, got interested in the deck again, and just kind of missed playing it. Um, I'd given it up for a long time, I basically went on a losing streak, so I just was kind of feeling down about the deck, and this was around the time Lantern came out, and I just felt like Lantern seemed like a better version of 8-rack, which is maybe still true, I don't know, but lately anyway, this is putting up more results, so yeah, deck feels pretty good right now. There's like things that are harder now and things that are easier. I'm finding like there's a lot less Leyline and Chalice right now, it feels like. So you don't have to worry about that. That was quite the pain. Of course, you can build the deck to deal with that a bit better, but it's still like it's always going to be a pain. You're just going to lose games sometimes. You don't get the cards you need. They've got the Leyline, so. But anyway, overall the deck feels pretty good. I just find it seems like extra sensitive to the deck building process now. Like you have to build it correctly, and some of it was my own misplays. I think like I was rusty when I was going on that streak, and I think like not sideboarding correctly, and maybe didn't have the correct sideboard. So it's just like all the little things matter a lot, but like if you play everything right, then the deck feels really strong. If that makes any sense, that's kind of my impression right now. Um, anyway, basically I took a look at the recent 5.0 lists and just kind of mashed them all together. Looked at like the best of like what were the commonalities between all the lists because I wasn't doing well with my own little takes. Like I was trying Pox, I was trying no Pox lists, just a lot of little tweaks and pretty different sideboard to this. Probably about half of that was different. I was trying Confidant Main for a while, Last Hope. Not the meta for it, I don't think. There's just not many one toughness creatures running around that aren't in humans. It's basically just humans. So, and we have other things for humans. Um, so anyway, this is basically what was run. When I did the 4-1, um, I had a Liliana's Triumph. This is one of the new cards. I've been trying to make this card work for a long time, and it's really just not happening. So I just really can't recommend it at all. It's basically an edict. It's an instant speed edict. It's basically Diabolic Edict that like once in, I don't know, 30 games, it's a mini smallpox. So that's so I really don't like it. Like I want it to like it. Like obviously it's basically a one-sided smallpox. It doesn't hit lands, but um it's close and it's instant speed and it's not double black, so it's like there's a lot of advantages. Like if hypothetically this was as reliable as this, then I would run 4 of these and probably none of these, or at least maybe put these sideboard or something for certain decks, or maybe run both. I don't know, but yeah. So, but it's just not. I think I played like I would estimate 30, 40 games with this, and I think I've triggered it twice. And I've tried it as I don't know if I ever tried it as a 4 of, but I think I tried it as a 2 and a 3 of, and a 1 of, and I tried it with 7 lilies. Yeah, I tried it with 7 lilies, 3 Last Hope, 4 Veil, and tried it with 2, tried it with 1. I just tried every possible configuration basically, and yeah, it just nothing. Tried with 4 lilies, just 1. You know what I mean? So, but just does not work. So I really don't recommend this card. I think it's still one of the like new shiny cards people are trying out. Davril, I do think is the real deal. Initially I loved him, and then I was like, maybe we just play 1, and then I was like, let's play 0, and now I'm like, 2 or 3 seems right. So that's about where I'm at right now. It's just like he's another card that's like it's sensitive to the list that you're running. So um, yeah, like if the configuration is not right, he's not going to feel right. So I think like Pox, Bridge, Reckoning, that's a good little combo. Like you want to kind of protect him. Um, if you like don't run Pox or don't run Bridge Last Reckoning, then it might be correct to go down to 1 or 2. but this configuration feels the best to me so far. The one with Dark Confidant and Last Hope felt really good too, really solid, but it's just like not this meta. So in a different meta with a lot of like smaller creatures, less like big mana combo decks and stuff like that, I guess. And like beefy creatures, like just more like modern of a few years ago, I guess, with like geez, I don't know what was being run then, but anyway, just smaller creatures. A lot of like there's a lot of like Snapcaster. In fact, I guess there is some of that, but it's still like look at this. Let's take a look at this. It's super important to metagame with this deck and like go not just like with your instincts or your preferences or whatever, but like research the meta. Um, these are, I guess, the two best sites right now. It used to be Modern Nexus, which uh, you might remember I founded. But it's like this is massively outdated, so it's it was great when Sheridan was running it, but some of you might know him as what is it, KT Kenchinks, or I don't know how you exactly say his username, but it's quite popular on MTG Salvation and posts on Reddit now and again. But so this is no longer reliable data, but it used to be the most reliable source of data. I wish stuff with this site had worked out, but yeah, because I would have loved to have continued pushing this, because and being like starting to be recognized as like the best source for the modern meta, and then you know have a bunch of great articles too. Could have been like the ultimate modern site, but yeah, I kind of blew it. Although to be fair, I think Sheridan would have left anyway. Just I just don't think he had the time. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe who knows. Anyway, research the meta. Sorry, there went on a tangent. Down memory lane. So yeah, really important to like, metagame, like because this deck is highly metagame dependent, both in terms of like what other people are running. Well, yeah, just like what they're running depends on what you should be running. Like if there's a lot of ley line, you probably want a pack rat, not a pack rat, but multiple pack rats or bitter blossom main, so you have reliable alternate win condition. Something to get around chalice too. So if you have a bunch of these in hand, they have chalice on one. You can just drop a bitter blossom or a pack rat and go to town. Um, if there's a lot of big creatures, then um, like you don't want stuff like Funeral Charm and Last Hope. Um, if there's a lot of say Tron and Amulet, Smallpox is good. If there's another thing that was pointed out, I noticed there's a lot of decks that don't run a lot of lands right now. So like the lower the land count, the better Smallpox gets. Excuse me. I mean, they run 19, but obviously they have like effectively like 25 land or something with the maps and the scrying, and plus they have some draw, so or cycling basically. But this is like 19, and yeah, they have hierarch, but it's basically really low land count, so can be really relevant. Da, da, da. So yeah, stuff like that, just really important to research. And like I guess this affects whether or not you should run fetches. If there's like an aggro meta, you probably don't want fetches. Like aggro with small creatures, then no fetches and push is probably correct. Um, but if there's like a mix or there's a lot of like bigger creatures, 3 and 4 cost, and light on aggro, then I think it's fine to throw in a couple of fetches. Um, I'm not like 100% on this right now, but it feels fine to me. I haven't really felt hurt by the life loss. It happens like you lose like 1 life per game, so it's not really a big deal. It's probably a good idea to put 1 or 2 in there regardless. But yeah, so everything else is pretty standard. Like basically, this is the list that everyone's running. Main, but like the lands might vary slightly. They might have more field. I think 2 is most common. Some run 3 Urborg, And I don't think any run fetches. I think I'm the only one running fetches, but again, it's felt fine and it's been useful, so why not? That's kind of my philosophy. But basically, there's probably two flex spots. I've seen people run two wrench mine here, which is I think fine. That's a fine idea. And they usually cut an Inquisition or a Thoughtseize. It's usually Inquisition, which is probably correct. Um, for what it's worth, I cut a no, they usually cut Thoughtseize. I cut an Inquisition and I was running a Triumph. But now, like I said, I don't like Triumph. Oh, and they're also running 23 land. So basically, I cut a Triumph, added a land, and so there's something else. Hmm, I can't remember. But I'm running an extra Inquisition. So, but yeah, there's two flex spots. So, well, I think I was just always running the extra land. Anyway, whatever. Um, so yeah, you can trim like a lot of people prefer 23 land. It's not bad. It's not like there's a massive percentage difference between 23 and 24, but I do think it's pretty sensitive when you're running smallpox. So anyway, 24 has felt really good to me, and I like to err on the side of too many lands rather than like just barely enough. Um, because you have Raven's Crime, you have Lily, like it's not, and you have Smallpox, like it's not a big deal. Like it's really rare that I feel like I have too many lands, almost never. So, but there are like there's a notable percentage of times where I don't have enough. Usually in situations where I have smallpox, or like, and sometimes I want a smallpox, but I can't because I don't have enough land, stuff like that. So anyway, I really like 24. Um, that feels good to me, and like I don't like Triumph, so I feel like that's I don't know. For me, that's just strictly correct. But even if you still like 23 land, then I would play like the fourth Inquisition or Thoughtseize over Triumph. It's my opinion anyway. Um, we really like these in the opener, so um, yeah, it feels good to me. I don't think it's terrible to go down to 7, but I don't know. Just it seems better. So that's basically the main board. The sideboard, like I'm a lot sketchier on. I know this is partly for Faithless Looting decks, for Dredge and Phoenix, I guess, but I'm not, I'm just not convinced yet. I haven't tried it much, but when I have tried it against them, it hasn't felt good. It's felt really situational. So there's that. I'm not sure that we need this, but it can be good, like for decks where you don't want smallpox, I guess. And if you anticipate them boarding in removal or something, then you can bring that in. Um, or boarding out removal, sorry. Skynes is good for leyline and just in general, since we don't run Wrench Mind right now. It's definitely an option. You can run some, but there are a lot of more artifacts than usual running around. It's such a strong card, though. It's tempting to just run it anyway and just accept it. Like the matchups where it's bad in were already bad matchups usually. Well, Tron, Affinity, Hardened Scales, that's good either way. But yeah, like Tron is sort of a non-factor in like whether or not you run a wrench. You can tailor your list for it, and I might at some point. I'm thinking about running surgicals, and it just seems really relevant right now. You got Amulet, Tron, Phoenix. It's not good against Dredge. A lot of people make that mistake. They just they have like a million different creatures. You know what I mean? Getting rid of one of them doesn't really help you. So it's kind of nice against Faithless Looting, I guess. But I think just running the ley lines is committing hard enough. So um, what else is it good against? Could be good against Shadow, I guess. I don't know. There's some other application, Snapcaster. So it's a nice card. I think it just seems more relevant to me and more reliable than probably like Waste Not. Yeah. Um, like these are basically just kind of catch-all cards. They are really versatile. Like I like the versatility of the sideboard. This is good against a fair amount of decks or decent anyway. I'm not sold on it, but it's interesting. This is nice against leyline, and it's just like if there's something you don't need, say they don't run any creatures or something, you can take out some of these or some of these, throw that in, or well, you would side that out first, I guess. But yeah, so it's just nice. And like I said, if we don't run wrench mine, then that lowers the amount of discard we have. So playing this is nice. We would actually like to run this main, but you know this is just too important right now. Um, So yeah, I think you could actually run it main because there's been lists that have some of the 5.0s don't run any of these mains. So like if you're feeling crazy, you could try this main. I would only run two. That's what felt right to me when I was testing it. So I've tried three and maybe four, and it's just it comes at the wrong time too often. So and Bond 2 I think is mainly for when you anticipate artifact removal for bridge. Then you just take it the bridge side and the Bond 2. Um, in certain situations, you might want to trim some of these and throw in a Bantu and just like go really crazy. But yeah, Leyline is mainly for dredge. I would say there's other graveyard decks. I don't know. I still don't know like because it's committing really hard. So like it's a really bad card if you don't see it in your opener, and then if you draw it, it's awful. So you have to really want it to bring it in. So I'm not sure which decks it's worth it for. Um, I would guess Shadow and Dredge. But I feel like Shadow's a pretty decent matchup anyway. But anyway, maybe Shadow and Dredge and maybe Phoenix too. But I don't know. And Storm. I mean, you don't see Storm much, but it exists. And obviously, just random other decks. So, but it's primarily for Dredge. Yeah. Bomb is mainly for Chalice and I guess to an extent Leyline, also for tokens. But I feel like it's not actually that relevant right now. It's versatile, but it's slow and not that relevant, so I kind of want to cut it. Some lists don't run this. Um, more of the successful lists have run it, but I feel like it's not actually that important. I think I'd rather like a surgical in this spot or in this spot. So there's a bunch of cards I'm considering right now. Like let's have a look here. It's mainly I like the Elder Spell. Some people hate it, but I think it's really interesting. A lot of planeswalkers floating around. We can't. They're harder to deal with. Pardon me. Since the rat can't hit planeswalkers anymore, and it can be really devastating. There's been a fair amount of times where they have two planeswalkers out, usually Karn or any of the blue lists. So who knows what the meta is going to be after Modern Horizons, but yeah, this is very interesting. I think it's like more powerful than people give it credit for. Like even just destroying one planeswalker for 2 mana is good, and then you have the potential to get two, and then you also have the potential to get loyalty counters. So it's like it's good even at the base level, unlike Triumph is not really that good. I don't know. Maybe it's like a case of Triumph, and I'm wrong, but I feel like it's quite good. I really like being able to deal with planeswalkers, so because they're a huge weakness for the deck. I just find there's been a lot of games where they drop a planeswalker and I lose, and that's it. But again, I was playing different lists, so this might be better against planeswalkers just by virtue of consistency, I guess. But anyway, I'd really like to try this. I love this card, but it's not the metaphor. It's similar kind of argument to Last Hope and Funeral Charm. So uh, da, da, da. I kind of want to wrench mine in the board. Like I wouldn't. Well, I guess that's what that's for. So you can't really. If it's a choice between the two, you don't really want both on the board. But and that also happens to be good against Leyline. So, but still tempting. I really love this card. Not as much as I would love, hopefully, another an upgrade in Horizons, but I'm not holding my breath. So I like a pack rat. I kind of like a Spellskite because like against Dredge, you're really leaning on Bridge. You're leaning on Leyline too, but you're also leaning on Bridge. Um, and unlike a lot of other decks, Reckoning is pretty bad against them. So you're really counting on that Bridge. So you kind of want a Spellskite or maybe even a buried rune that seems too slow though, to deal with it. But then that's a lot of stuff you're dedicating, right? That's well, it's 6 cards. It's not too insane. So kind of want that, and it's a decent card in general. Infect is doing decently well right now, and it's only going to go up with that new card. I forget what it's called. Let's see. Set is so crazy. I can't believe some people are complaining about this set, like saying there's not enough stuff. Like there's so much stuff. This one right here, this card's gonna be nuts. I think Infect's gonna be really popular after this. I mean, it depends on what else becomes popular, I guess, but this is nuts. Anyway, so I like this. I'm happy with this. This, like, I got mixed feelings on this card, but everybody's running it, so I guess it's correct. So I'm gonna keep playing it, see how I feel. I just don't like that it's dead if it's not in your opener, and um, they can destroy it especially if you're on the draw. So like, yeah, it's rough. And then they have, yeah, they have 4 claims, so it like matches your amount of voids. I mean, they also have to deal with bridge, but yeah, it's rough. Well, they have a 1 or 2 ancient grudge, so it's like, they got this covered. Yeah, so it's rough. If you're on the play, obviously it's better if you have, but that's still like somewhat situational. You need this and you need one of these, you know, and then they still might draw another claim and just fuck you. So I don't know. So in a way, I like Spellbomb or Ravenous Trap, I guess. Yeah. So, like I like these. Like I'm sold on this. It's either, I mean, if it's not this, it's I like 3 Spellbomb, 1 Ashiok, and that gives you game against some other decks too, like Amulet, Escape Shift, and whatever. Um, I think it's good against Amulet. Am I wrong? No, actually, I'm wrong. I'm thinking of Escape Shift X, Titan Shift, whatever. Um, but yeah, it's nice that it's nice against them. So anyway, if it's not this, then it's the other Graveyard Hate. But this is 4 Graveyard Hate slots basically. So I'm sold on this. Uh, Not sold. Like I like this card, just maybe not right now. And I feel like this is just kind of like a holdover from when people ran like a lot of Leyline and Chalice. So, and this, I don't know. I hope it's good because it's a really fun card, and I mean, fun is obviously secondary for me anyway. But yeah, would be nice to have some game against looting decks. So it just feels so situational. Like it's for one card. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Obviously, you can bring it in against other matchups, and it still does something anyway. But yeah, it's still I don't know. It's a bit shady. So I'm not sure on these, and not sure. Like I'm just not sure this is necessary. Again, I played it main, and it just felt underwhelming. I guess in where something like Pack Rider Bitter Blossom, when I tested those, they felt like when they were good, they were really, really good. This, even at its best, like didn't feel like great to me. Like I don't know. It kind of just feels like it goes against Arak's game plan. Like I don't care that much about drawing cards. I'm more concerned about discarding your cards or applying a clock. So in a way, I like Visitor better. Um, Because I mean, at least if you're drawing, you draw more, and the clock is better, and you got this, so it's like it's more synergistic. Obviously, this is more reliable, but I kind of like this better if we want that type of effect, which I kind of do. It could be, it's nice to do the old switcheroo, sometimes. So I do kind of like probably Visitor there, which some of the 5.0 lists have run, or Pack Rat or Bitter Blossom. And Bitter Blossom has seen some success in the board recently, even the main. But I know that the guy who was running it main eventually switched it to the sideboard, which makes total sense, I think, in this meta. So again, this is just like another metagame call. Like I need to take a closer look at like what's popular right now, and like yeah. So not sure on these slots. So what I'm looking at now mainly, like I said, is it's mainly Pack Rat, Elder Spell, Bitter Blossoms, Surgical. I'm pretty sure Surgical is correct, and I'm surprised nobody's running it. So I do kind of like Surgical. I don't know exactly how many. Um, well, it would be two or three, probably four is just seems excessive, but two or three. And I really like this card, by the way, just not in this meta probably, but it's not irrelevant right now, mainly with hardened scales. Excuse me, and burn. And I guess it has some applications against like rock and stuff, but I don't think it would be worth it to bring it in. But yeah, it has some applications now. But in a different meta, this could be great. I love the versatility. I love the cards like this. So, but not right now. Damping Sphere also, that was the other one. So I do like that. It's kind of a matter of how much you want to fight Tron, and I guess if it's worth it versus Phoenix. This is something I've been struggling with, how like what's worth it to bring in versus Phoenix. Like even when I had Sphere in the board, I was boarding it in, but sometimes I felt like a struggle. Like, is it worth taking out certain things to bring in this? And do I also want this? And blah, 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 blah. There's all these different things. So like you have a lot of cards that are relevant. Like this is relevant, Sphere is irrelevant. Um, so it's just like, what's the best way to deal with it? Surgical is relevant. So I don't know. Still a matter of sorting that out. But I'm really favoring this right now. So probably pick some of these up soon and test it out. And I might want Sphere. So those are the main ones I'm considering. Um, Feel free to let me know what you guys think. Yeah, like I don't want too much overlap. Like I like all these cards, but there's a lot of overlap in terms of what they deal with. So it's a matter of like you want not too much overlap and like you want a lot of versatility and a lot of power. So still a matter of figuring that out. But this is a solid sideboard, like regardless, like this, it deals with a lot. It's versatile. So, but feeling, I'm feeling surgical. I need to test this. I could really take or leave this, so I'm not sold on that. So I feel like right now I could probably make a straight swap for two surgicals, and I'd probably feel better. So then there's still some overlap with this, but uh, yeah. And then this, and then like if I play Visitor, I would probably only play two. So um, that would free up a slot. So there's potential work to do with the sideboard. I do like a rat or a bitter blossom. If I ran bitter blossom, it'd probably only be two. So again, that frees up a slot. Anyway, let's figure out what to do. So now I'm just gonna shut up and I'm gonna play the replays. I haven't done this in a long time, and I know that everyone seems to prefer, I mean, understandably, I guess, live games, commentary, and all that stuff, so you can like see the decision-making process, and it's like goes a bit slower. But I don't know. If you're in a hurry, have a short attention span or whatever, like the replays are better in a way. So um, I'll record some live games soon, but for now, this is what you get. So enjoy. Before I start, actually, this Archgaze game, I mean, I guess I'll just show it to you, but just as a preamble, this guy mulled to like 4 and then mulled to 0 and conceded immediately both times. So yeah, doesn't really count, but just for the sake of proof, I'll show that. And that's that. I think it was pretty straightforward. I think I'm gonna misplay the smallpox there that last game. I maybe should have kept the Davriel. I'm not sure. Um, and I misplayed versus 8 rack. Not so much misplayed as I boarded incorrectly, but it's like a learning process. I don't have much experience in the mirror because it's so rare that you see it. But I think that basically the idea is that you keep your poxes in for game two because they're probably going to board in creatures. And then game three, if there is one, then um, you board out the smallpox because they're probably going to board out creatures. So, or they might anyway. I don't know. But tentatively, that's my strategy. But yeah, I hope you liked it. And I'll have another one soon, possibly live. We'll see.